matter with us since yesterday that in the last appearance of the joint sitting of the committee, they presented the fourth quarter report. We then agreed that they should not come, but we will verify that through the what is this recordings, so that we can be sure that really they did present the fourth report. Without wasting time, so therefore we have two committees today. Also on the issue of the Premier's office non-appearance, we made follow up with our records. The DG's office did get the invitation. I think 3 offices in the Premier's office did get that invitation. So maybe they'll tell us, they'll give us an explanation as to why they didn't honor the invitation. So it could be miscommunication amongst themselves in that office. So we are going to have 2 departments today. I was trying to communicate with Public Works to come earlier. Can I call the Department of Sports to come in? Deputy Speaker.
Thanks, Chair. Before they come in, Chair, I'm not getting an understanding. Are you saying Human Settlement and the Premier's office are not appearing today?
So remember, Office of the Premier was supposed to be here yesterday. They didn't come, they didn't send an apology, nothing. So we tried to check later on so that we verify from our side that we did invite them. So from our records, the DG's office got invitation, and 2 other offices in that Premier's office they did get that invite. I just wanted to clear the committee on that the Office of the Premier, from our record, from our side, did get invitation. So remember we took a decision. So I just wanted us to, so that as we move on, we must be clear that their non-appearance is not because of our mistake. We did send the invitation. Now, on this one of Human Settlement says that the 4th quarter, they did present during joint sitting, which was chaired by Ntate Klute. I think that day it was supposed to be 3 committees, and then Ntate Van Vuuren then withdrew his committee that day, so it was only 2 committees. So they said that. So what we are going to do is we then requested them not to come, so that we then verify with our recordings that did happen. Deputy Speaker.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, the issue of human settlement, that I can agree with, and we can then, because you are saying that you resolved that because they had already presented, you look into that, and then you communicated that they don't have to come. That's acceptable. The Premier's office, the same approach we took with social development, with health, so as with the Premier's office, let's then also take that approach where we then said we would then elevate the matter to the Speaker's office.
No, that decision included OTP. You forgot.
Yes.
to speak. So the only thing I'm reporting is that because with them, there was no communication to us. There was nothing. So we wanted to verify what has happened, so that we shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that we forgot to invite them. So I was just reporting to say that we did check, we found that no, we really did communicate. So it could be problems on their side, not from our side. But yesterday's decision included OTP. Chair of Chairs?
It will not be enough to say you are elevating issues to the Speaker's office. Well and good. But the committee also has to take a decision. I don't know what must be that decision. But all departments that must appear in front of the committee and PROPEC now, PROPEC needs to demand an explanation from those departments. Our work is being audited. Let alone process that our program is tight, and this work is audited. And somebody was saying, look, when you invite these departments, portfolio committees incur costs for these meetings, and people choose not to come, nothing is said to the chair of the portfolio committee. It cannot be right. You know, chair oversight has been put now under spotlight in our province. And we can't behave as business as usual moving forward. So we demand those reports. Why did people not appear in front of the committee? And then the committee will then, you know, what is it? Appreciate those reasons and take a decision. If a committee wants to refer issues to the Speaker for ethics, the committee has got that authority to do that, based on the reasons that will be provided to us. But we can't just do as if it's normal. Thanks.
Thanks, Chair of Chairs. So are we ready for the committee or the department? Sports. Thank you, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to the fourth quarter report for the department. MEC, your opening remarks. The presentation will only take 15 minutes. Focus on underperformance or areas that really needs to be highlighted to the committee. Over to you, MEC.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. Good morning, honorable members of the portfolio, officials from both departments, Treasury and the Departments of Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation. On this day, the 1 is August, kapa kgwedi ya Phato, re celebrate Mathwasa selemo sa Basotho. Ili mokete Basotho Cultural Village tomorrow. And it's a remarkable day for the people because it reminds proceed 25. So, but we are here at Chairperson. It was just a highlight of what we are up to today and tomorrow. But we are here to present the fourth quarter report of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture as requested by the Portfolio Committee. And I can safely say I do have the HOD and the officials from the department with me. Ntate Chabalala, HOD, CFO, Ntate Khiba, and the Director, Library Services, Me Ramukondo. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Chabalala, good morning.
Good morning.
Please stand for me, thank you. Will you be taking an oath or an affirmation?
An affirmation.
And do you consider this affirmation binding on your conscience?
Yes, I do.
Please state your full names for the record.
Molatu Chabalala.
Do you declare what you're about to tell the committees the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please affirm.
I affirm so.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Chabalala.
you.
Dr. Khiba, good morning.
Good morning.
So will you be taking an oath or an affirmation?
An oath, please.
And do you consider this oath binding on your conscience?
Yes.
Please state your full names for the record.
Pule David Khiba.
Do you swear what you're about to tell the committee is the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you, Dr. Khiba. Good morning, ma'am. Please switch on your mic.
Good morning.
Good morning. Will you be taking an oath or an affirmation?
An oath?
And do you consider this oath binding on your conscience?
Yes.
Please state your full names for the record.
Nomabaso Ramugondo.
Do you swear what you're about to tell the committees the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you, ma'am. Chairperson, thank you.
Thank you. Over to HOD.
Oh, thanks, Chair. I'll give over to the CFO to present the fourth quarter report to the committee.
No, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable members, good morning. I'll be dealing with the fourth quarter financial report. As the chairperson has indicated, we'll dive directly to the issues that we have encountered in the 2024-25 financial year. So this will cover the performance itself, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, PropEx resolutions, our revenue collection, goods and services, other expenditures, as well as issues that deals with the legal claims within the department. Chairperson, our budget, as we know that with the shrinking fiscus, we were budgeted originally for 641 million. It was then adjusted to 643 million. At the end of financial year, which is the fourth quarter, we would have spent 644 million. That indicates that there was that over expenditure on our part on program level, which is program 1 as well as program 3. You would see that program 3, it was 102%, and also in terms of administration, it was also an over expenditure then. In terms of the funds, Chairperson, our equitable share, we spent 103%. In terms of community media, 89%. Our artists, 91%. Sports and creative, 100%. Infrastructure, enhancement, 79%. Makufe, which was then redistributed to arts and culture program, 18 million, close to 99%. COSAFA, 100%. The EPWP grants, 100%. Your library services, 100%. Conditional grant in terms of your sports and recreation, 100%. Yes, Chairperson, we had some accruals that obviously would impact our current budget to the amount of 7.743 million. So we are putting in place plans to deal with that in the current financial year. In terms of our register, we, as indicated, we incurred 7.5 million in terms of unauthorized expenditure, 15.6 million in terms of irregular expenditure that deals with our security related tender. But I can safely say to the committee that we have since dealt with the specification, the tender is going out to deal with this amount so that we don't have this irregular. In that case, in terms of our KCM, we report on a monthly basis. Our progress there is 90%. I think the 10% relates to asset management because you know that asset management, it's a moving target. In terms of our revenue collection, as we know that we did not have Makufa, we had to decrease our sales of goods and services by 1.7 million. Which led to, as we close the fourth quarter, we're sitting at 2.9 million as revenue collected by the department. In terms of goods and services, I think this is just a list of the services that as a department that we have been offering as a department. But following that, because you can see that the total there is 162 million. But in the next slide, we are indicating in terms of your contractors, which represent your events promoter, artists and performers, as well as stage and sound. Your property payment consists of payments for infrastructure maintenance, physical security at departmental buildings, as well as cleaning services. Your travel and subsistence include non-employee for accommodation, air transport, kilometers, own transport, as well as car rental. Your audit fees, you'll see that there was a decrease in audit fees. I think that it is how we are now dealing with the audit. Your contractors included hosting of days of significance. Your property payments included the the maintenance as well as security payments of 169 library within the province. Your travel and subsistence as indicated, there was also an increase due to the split of schools sports champion. You'd remember, Chairperson, that we had summer as well as winter sports in the previous financial year. As indicated, your non-employee and employee accommodation was also an increase there. In terms of our debts, these debts will range to the overpayments and stuff, but then there's no risk there because we are able to recover that through salary, so I will not dwell much. And as you can see, it's 302,000. In fact, the actual debt that is 39,000. In terms of the cases that we have, we don't have any suspensions, but then we have those contingent liabilities, 3 cases, 8 of civils, my arts, and Free State Academy of Sports. I think this one of Free State Academy of Sports will be able to deal with it quickly because it's within the sports, then we'll be able to deal with that. ATSO is still in court as well as my arts. I think we are going to court in September. Chairperson, that should be all. Thank you.
Thank you, CFO. That's the presentation, honorable members. Over to you, Ndate Pretorius.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much, CFO and the department for the presentation. Chair, just firstly, I have a problem with the presentation as it is outlined. I think in future, if the department could please provide us with the expenditure per quarter as well, it would assist the committee greatly. Currently, it's only indicating the expenditure as by the 4th quarter, but we require it for oversight quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4, so we can also monitor how the funds were spent in terms of the benchmark. Now it is a bit impossible from this presentation to see perhaps if there was any fiscal dumping in the 4th quarter where money was suddenly, perhaps transferred to the various, let's say, implementing agents, etc. So in future, could the department please include under all programs, quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 for us, so we can monitor that. Chair, then in terms of my first question, the infrastructure enhancement allocation, that 52.3 million, if the department could just give us an indication, is that a allocation that is being used for the building of new facilities, or it is for enhancement or upgrades to existing facilities? My question is just because I'm concerned about us in the Free State building new facilities whilst our current facilities are not maintained. If the department can perhaps give us an indication if that allocation, that infrastructure enhancement allocation, if it is in terms of the terms and conditions, can only be used to build new facilities, or can it also be utilized for maintenance and upkeep of existing facilities? I do understand the different functions and powers and budgets of the different spheres of government, all of that, but if there is a possibility for the department to look into, if it is allowed by law, that we perhaps do not spend on building new facilities. I think new facilities are always welcomed where there's a need, but we have many facilities that are in dire need across the province that can actually be enhanced. If you take that 52 million and you perhaps divide it by 10 and you focus on 10 facilities, you can allocate 5 million to each facility and upgrade them again to a certain class where they get accreditation, etc. Even if you allocate it to 5 facilities, you can allocate 10 million. Just a question the department will be able to answer better on that. And then the 18 million that was transferred from Makufe to the arts and culture program for the hosting of 5 cultural festivals. I think at some stage the committee requested from the department a report on that. I'm just wanting to get an indication. Perhaps that report hasn't been tabled yet, so that isn't due in the House. But if we could just get an indication, or just a reminder about that breakdown of that. I think it was then 15 million of the 18 million was used for 5 district festivals. Then on the irregular expenditure of 15.6 million, if you can just get a bit of a better indication precisely on what that was. There was no mention made of it, but if you could just get just some more clarity. Then in terms of the EPWPs that are being utilized by the department, where are they allocated to? Because when we went on the oversight visit on Tuesday, we could see at many of the museums, or the majority of them, they require upkeeping on the outside, just the gardens, basic maintenance, cutting of grass, etc. Are some of these EPWPs stationed and within the job description to assist us with upkeeping of our museum's grounds, just the outside, cutting of grass, cleaning of refuse? Because I think if a tourist comes to one of these museums, the first impressions are very important. Chair, and then just on the revenue collection, can the department just provide clarity? Are museums, are they for-fee museums? I think there's 12 or 13 or 14 museums. Are all of them for-fee museums? So do you pay for them? Which do you pay, which do you not? And is there a difference, which, as is normal in most countries, between the fee structures for South Africans, members of the SADC region, and then foreigners? Is there a difference in fee structure? And is there actually, pay points available at these museums when people from abroad come, to actually pay? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, revenue must be created for us to better upkeep those facilities. Thank you very much, Chair.
Deputy Speaker.
No, thanks, Chair. And good morning to the MEC and the officials from the department. Chair, mine is on the Makufe relaunch. I would just like to find out what new revenue avenues or streams are being explored in terms of reducing dependency solely on the events, so that it is not an event-based revenue. Are there any other streams that you're exploring in that avenue? Yeah, and then I think Honorable Pretorius touched on the museums. I also wanted to touch on that one. Yeah, if I can also just, no, that's the only one I have, Chair. Thanks, let me leave the others, it's fine. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, MEC and your team for the presentation. Mine is about shifting of funds, because we could have a clear picture what is happening when we were having quarter by quarter, so that we must engage on other issues here, like the one of library and archive services. I see here the department is sitting at 102%. So I don't have a clear picture what is going on. But if I was having, the breakdown, so I could have the clear picture. Is it the department going to use the conditional grant or the shifting of the funds? That is my question, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eshwari.
Thanks very much, Chair. I think we also will take into account that the proposal that is made to also maybe when we report for fourth quarter, and we understand that it is actually the report that is also very, very late, because now we are already ready with the first quarter of the new financial year. So but we'll take that into account to ensure that at least we include this so that members could be able to see how the fund shifting was done and how the performance in each quarter was achieved or not achieved. Then in terms of the infrastructure enhancement allocation, Chair, I'm sure we are aware that we are dealing with the previous year. This money was allocated for the new project. The new project was the Smithfield Sports Smithfield Sports Indoor, which was at the tune of about 56 million. So it was financed over the MTF period. But the bulk of that money as well was going to the upgrades and the maintenance. That is what we are doing, and also some of the new libraries that we're building during that particular time. So most of the funds were going for that, but mainly it was for the upgrades and maintenance. But the new facility that we're building was only that one during that time. Now, in terms of the report of the festivals, I would have to check, but I can assure that it was not 5 festivals, but it was more than that because it was involved in the entire Free State. But we will then ensure that the report reaches the committee as requested. And then on the issue of the over expenditure, yes, we did have the over expenditure, which was a problem and which has caused us to get into these accruals. But the main issue there was the GG vehicles and I think also the allocation, the money that was paid as gratuity to the MEC, which we did not budget as a department. It is one other issues that we are also trying to elevate and maybe engage Treasury, because we believe that the gratuity of members, it should be, that it should be accommodated somewhere in either the legislature or the Treasury, because most of the time, if the members, they have to be paid, we don't really have that allocation as a department, and as a result, we have to make that payments which will result in the over expenditure of our budget. Now, in terms of the EPWPS, we do have the ones who are doing the general work, but mostly it's those who are also allocated into schools. So it may be difficult to see them because others are, involved in the schools in terms of the arts and culture programs during the school hours and all those. So they do are allocated to different schools. Not all of them are doing the general work, but we are trying by all means to try and distribute, because we don't have really a big number. We only have 140 throughout the province. Then I think in terms of the revenue, the museums, yes, we do have some of the museums that are for fee and others are not. But maybe what is also we thought maybe just to give the committee a clear picture, we will then have to sit down and maybe break it down in terms of the provincial museums, the local and national museum, to just indicate in terms of the fee structures and all those things. Then we can compile that particular report for the consideration of the committee. So the relaunch of Makufe, looking at the new revenue streams, I think for now we still not having that particular opportunity to do that, and simply because we mainly hamstrung by our budget and things that we're supposed to do. Most of the time we find ourselves in a situation of robbing Peter to pay Paul. So it's quite very difficult. But what we are also doing is to ensure sure that we also engage the private sectors to come into play. For example, we do have people who have indicated their interest in terms of, or maybe partnering with Makuf in enhancing that particular thing. As a result, it will be able to relieve some of the money that would have been used for such activities, for channel it to other programs. So I think the last question was emphasizing on the the quarter report to say if we bring the final fourth quarter report, we must also include those so that members could, and I've already dealt with that, Chair. I think I would then give, I don't know if there's any other question that is outstanding. Thank you.
That is Gwebela.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to on the issue of museums, understanding that the department is operating with limited budget and resources, I just want to understand why would the department, for instance, in some of the museums, issues that it can be resolved through intergovernmental relations for public works and municipalities, they want to outsource service providers. An example, it can be plumbing related challenges where water is leaking in the bathroom, but we were told that the document is at the SCM to appoint a service provider, garden maintenance services, drainage systems, plumbing related, garden service maintenance. All these things, they require intergovernmental approach to resolve them, either working with the municipality of public works, and I don't think that really they have to incur costs on those problems that those museums have been faced with, because the department already operates on the very tight budget, whereby some of the things can't even fulfill its mandate entire. Perhaps they need to relook at on the approach on dealing with some of these particular problems. Thank you, Chair.
Deputy Speaker.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, the department also mentioned that on their legal and HR matters, they have 3 legal disputes. Are there financial implications attached to those 3 legal disputes? Thank you.
And what do they involve? I'm saying, and what do they involve, those legal disputes? Mayor Kharekwe.
Thank you so much, Chair. And let me also welcome the presentation from the department. MEC, I saw the roadshow of clap and tap music in the province, which is the right thing that you are doing. But I just want to check with the department that there's any plan for those choirs in future. Maybe they are going to do only maybe competition and then it ends there, or there's any future plan for them. Because really that is a good thing to do. Thank you.
Yeah, more so that the department was reviving also choral music, but it's so silent on those issues. Over to you, HOD.
Oh, thanks, Chair. On the, I will take, I think what has been proposed, the collaboration between the municipality and the public works, it's something that we should consider. It's not easy in government because it also involves a lot of protocols, but we will try to do that and also link. We also, also maybe considering also the Friends of the Museum, because they are also assisting a lot in terms of taking care of these facilities and, providing some of the, assistance that could have been costing the government. So we will definitely take that into account. Now, Because it's quite difficult. Maybe if I just make an example of sports facilities, when do people look at sports facilities, they think of the provincial government, even though it is not our thing. And if it's also very difficult for government, provincial to go to Mangaung and maintain some of their facilities, because it's just technically very difficult to do that. And most of the time we are trying to ensure that at least we also involved your federations to occupy that space, and it makes it easy for government to Department of Sports to collaborate with them. Now, on the issues of the cases, Chair, the ETSO. ETSO, it was a consultant that was appointed by the department, I think around 2012 or 2013. And they are doing mainly the consultant work. They are a company of consultants. So what happened is they were also allocated the National Training Center as one of the projects that they were doing. And seemingly during those times, there were a lot of payments that were done, and they are claiming that the department owes them some money. But what is happening now, it is not ETSO that went to court, it's because ETSO has been liquidated. And as a result, the liquidator is trying to get more money, to be able to offset some of their creditors. So the challenge that we are facing as the department, we try to, because we also have a claim against ETSO that some of the projects, they were overpaid and all those things. But we are also legally being advised that should we take that route, we may end up having to foot the bill of the creditors of ETSO should the liquidation succeed. So we are also trying to cut our losses. And but the case, it's now, I think we have already went to the liquidators, and we are just awaiting, because we disputed everything in terms of the monies that they want. I think they were looking about 10 million or so from the department in that case. So we are disputing it because we have a counterclaim, even though legally we don't want to come out with it, because now we might be also find ourselves liable for taking care of their creditors should there be a shortfall. So that is the case of ETSO. And then you have the second case is the Arts International. This is the company that was appointed to take our officials and some of the artists to Singapore. I think probably 2023 October. Yes, so they then, I think we then disputed as a department the amount that they claimed. And then it was back and forth until they go to court. We tried to also, because we did not dispute that we have to pay them, but we didn't want to pay them the exorbitant amounts that they were claiming. So as a result, they went to court, and the case, I think it will be sitting around the 8th of September, but it's early September. That case will be sitting there. We are confident that we will not lose that case. In any way, we know that at least we are liable for about 500,000 that should be paid. We have made that offer and they refused it because they want the full amount. I think about 900 and let me just say 1 million, just close to 1 million. So it's for bigger department, it might not be a big case, but for us, we are taking it very serious, because if we say 500,000, we believe that we would have saved or treated the government purse differently. And then the last one is the Academy of Sport. I think this one is really. I would still have to check thoroughly, Chair, as to what happened to the case, because we know that this case, it was just a threat to go to court when we refusing to transfer some of the money to the sports of to Academy of Sport, but it has since been resolved, and I don't know why is it still sitting there. We will definitely just remove it because there is no case that is being pursued now in terms of the Academy of Sports and the transfer problem that was identified during that time. Thank you.
Thank you. That MEC, your last closing remarks. But before the closing remarks, before closing remarks, MEC, I think this is what we raise with every department. In your presentations, there's no sense of cooperative governance. What was raised by Ndate Pretorius on the museums on these streets indicates a clear lack of working relationship between departments, and also the consciousness to understand the value of this street in relation to the history of our politics, not in the Free State but in South Africa. In a situation where you go to presidency and you find that the garden is not maintained, and you go to another department, you find that there are EPWP people that are loitering and not doing anything. You then ask yourself, does government have a situation where government discuss what is our vision as government? If government discusses social transformation, and what are the key elements of that social transformation? Tourism, district, identifying district and elevating it as part of tourism product. It does not need only this department, but it needs also other departments working with departments of arts and culture. I also looked at that house, presidency, and from face value, you say, I'm not a businessman, I don't know, but I said, but government can make money out of this house. What you see inside, and sometimes if you say people, you have a period, even if it's either throughout the year or sometimes where you say you market the house for people to sleep there 2 days, 3 days, the money that you can make out of that, something like that. But I'm just saying, you have those artifacts in this street. What is government thinking about them? And which is why I'm saying it's not only an issue of one department, but it's an issue of government generally. To say what is the value of this street, and what is it that we are doing about this street, which if we are not careful would have a situation like we had of Ramkral, where we ended up having a situation where people take a decision to demolish Ramkral, and people of Bloemfontein are still hurt. To say this structure has a political value in our history as people of Bloemfontein, because this is where we were intended. as political detainees. And now people who come and take a decision to demolish that thing are not people from Bloemfontein. And up until now, that area is still lying like that. Ka Sesotho ke masupi. And for those that were in the past were able to serve their detention in that structure, every time they pass there, they get hurt every time. But who is responsible for that? It's our own government. So this is to say that how do we ensure that also the structures that you find in the street, the value of those structures, what is it that we do with them? What you see here as structural defects here, it's exactly what you find with all those buildings in the street. Same problems. So it goes back to the issue of what is the government's vision about what they find in the street. So it's an issue that I'm raising this to say, as the department interacts maybe at a cluster level in EXCO, raise these issues so that it has to be a government program. And it's one of the issues that's why I'm saying from time to time as we interact with departments, you lack an element of working relationship between departments on important issues. But it becomes a responsibility of a single department when the work needs working together between departments and between spheres of government. Your closing remark, MEC, before you go to the launch at 11.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Maybe, Chair, one needs to, maybe the committee to appreciate that what we appeared for today is the presentation of fourth quarter financial report. So I know the program of the legislature to have been in such a way that the 4 quarters of the financial year are broken. Each quarter, when you come, you present for a particular quarter, but at the end of it all, there is an annual report that outlines the activities of the department for the entire financial year. But if the committee says to us, when we come, we should please include the following, that would not be a problem. We'll do as the department. And furthermore, maybe, Chair, it could also help the committee, because some of the questions that we keep coming across are the questions that we respond to. They are questions for written reply. There is also a rule in the standing rules and orders that allows the members to ask us questions for oral reply, so that we can stand here. It's also a form of oversight. We can stand here and respond orally on those issues, and that will help because that will be recorded and also for Hansard and also for future reference. On the issue of Makufe, maybe to emphasize that Makufe, as much as like any other activity that we have in the province of sports and other, it automatically have economic spin-offs. Hence, at some point, it is very important that we work with the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. But the main purpose of Makufe is to give artists over and above celebrating our culture and allow the artists to celebrate their craft. But we know at the end of the day, there are economic spin-offs that the province will get. So the revenue that comes out of Makufe will that of selling the tickets. Since this year, we are minimizing, we are not going to give free tickets. People must buy tickets to Makufe so that we can make more revenue. On the issue of working with departments, and I will couple this with what Honorable Member raised and the chairperson of the committee. We do, on my side, I know that I interact a lot with Public Works. Public Works, you'd realize that they've given us accommodation to establish the film hub that we pronounced in our budget speech. Public Works has also written to me to say I must avail myself so that we can go and clean Winnie Mandela. So at least they are trying, and I know that the other day they were cleaning one hospital here in Bloemfontein. Although it might not be to a full extent, but there is some strides that are made in order to ensure that we work together. But one has noted what the committee is saying, to present it to EXCO, to say how far can we make sure that we work together in those activities, or where we can save money, so that we can do that. The clap and tap music, the people we are holding this program with, clap and tap and choral music, SABC, Lisedi in particular, has come on board. And we are hoping that at the end of the day, as you'd know, that clap and tap music can be recorded so that people can sell their music. So we are looking into that with the assistance of clap and tap, of course. And choral music chair is continuing. It's just that the focus is on clap and tap because there are many people who have an interest, and it is broad. Hence, it is starting at sub-regions. But the choral music will start at district level and go to provincial level. But the clap and tap has started at sub-region. It will go to district, and then it will go to provincial level. Chair, I think let us thank the committee, and we appreciate every time you raise questions. You give us something to think about, to reflect and say there is a gap that we need to close, because your questions also carry the advices that you are giving us to be able to do things better. And where in those areas where we have raised the questions, and rest assured that when we go back, we sit down and look at what we have read, where we see that there is something to correct, we do that. Where we need that maybe there is something to explore, we are definitely going to do that. So we appreciate, Chairperson, the committee. You don't just do oversight, but you also advise us to become better in what we are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC. Thank you, HOD, CFO, team. Please leave us. But as we leave us, HOD, there's a suit there at Army Museum. What is it? The War Museum. The suit of Hans Janse van Rensburg. Go and check who was that person. Go and check. There's a cell there of a person called Zafendas. Go and check who was Zafendas. So I'm just saying, there was, you know, Roy Jankelson was showing me the fighter jet there, and was saying, you know, I once saw the Cuban army downing this thing in an Angolan war. I'm just raising this thing as a consciousness to say, you have an asset there. How do you market that? That's why I'm saying tourism and arts and culture have a lot to do working together. And education also has to play a role, because those people I'm talking about, I'm sure they appear in the curriculum of the basic education. So that they take kids there and all that. Thank you. Please leave us in peace. I hope we got it. Hey. Members, my worry with what we saw on Tuesday, it was only for 2 hours, but it opened eyes to say there are a lot of facilities that we have that we really have to do a lot from government side to ensure that those things can make money, contribute in education, but they really need government effort, not a departmental effort. Thank you, MEC, HOD, and the team. Unale adapter. You don't have adapter. But adapter. It's not an old what. It needs adapter so that you So CFO, next time you and HOD must get that adapter. Ngiyaniseva, Larry. Honorable members, the department are still lagging behind with the, what is it, quarter 2 and 3. So I was saying that if they can just summarize that and club them together with the fourth quarter, so that this, what is it, a clear or logical presentation of expenditures. I think they will do that in no time. MEC, your opening remarks. Thanks for, the department was supposed to appear at 11 o'clock, so I sent them an SOS to come earlier. And it looks like they were already waiting for us. They just jumped and came. Over to you, MEC.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good morning to yourself and members of the legislature, members of the portfolio committee, officials of the department as led by the acting HOD and Tatemtolo. Chair, like you have indicated, we did not want to leave this August House without presenting quarter 2 and 3, though the meeting had indicated that we must present quarter 4. So we came here ready to present, and the CFO will therefore be able to summarize the 2 quarters as indicated. But over and above the fact is that our budget for 2024-2025 financial year was 2.1 billion, with majority of our budget going to service delivery program, which is program 2, which is public works and infrastructure, which is inclusive of property, PMU and works, including EPWP and security. Security, Chair, EPWP is a program on its own. We have been able to spend a significant amount of our budget on these particular programs, though we take note of the fact that the performance in terms of performance management has not been as good as we would have wanted. But in most cases, the savings that we try to make out of other programs, we always try by all means to ensure that we pay off our rates and taxes and utilities, so that we get to assist municipalities with what is duly supposed to be paid to them. Without wasting further time or more time, I would allow the HOD and the CFO to do that particular presentation. But with me, I've got the acting HOD, the CFO, acting director, finance, Mayor Prudence, Mayor Joyce, who's the acting chief director for strategic planning, At the back, we've got Ndate Makay, who is the Acting Chief Director, PMU, as well as Ndate Dion, who's Acting Chief Director, Works. Colleagues must not be shocked. We are in the process of advertising this particular post. Most probably when we come back to present on other issues to the legislature, we wish we would have filled those particular positions. Thank you very much, Chair. I'm not sure whether they are supposed to do the affirmations and like we normally do, or we just proceed. Thank you, Chair.
That's my responsibility, MEC.
Thank you, Chair. Ndate Mtolo, good morning.
Good morning, Madam.
Please stand for me. Will you be taking an oath or an affirmation?
I will be taking an affirmation.
And do you consider the affirmation binding on your conscience?
Yes.
Please state your full names for the record.
Caesar Mtolo.
Do you declare what you're about to tell the committees the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please affirm.
I affirm, Madam.
Thank you, Ndate Mtolo. Please guide me as to who will be taking an oath or affirmation from your team.
It will. Okay, now thank you very much. The CFO would be taking an oath, and Mayor Prudence, and the three of us.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Will you be taking an oath or an affirmation?
An oath?
And do you consider this oath binding on your conscience?
Yes.
Please state your full names for the record.
Alison Esther Adams.
Do you swear what you're about to tell the committees the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you. Mayor Prudence, good morning.
Good morning.
Will you be taking an oath or an affirmation?
An oath?
And do you consider this oath binding on your conscience?
Yes, I do.
Please state your full names for the record.
Prudence Panyani.
Do you swear what you're about to tell the committees the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you, ma'am. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Your presentation may not take more than 30 minutes. For those that are presenting for the fourth quarter only, it's 15 minutes. So because you are special, we give you 30 minutes for presentation. And more so that the 31st of July and the 1st of August is the birthday of the Communist Party of South Africa. Over to you, CFO.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to the members. Merci.
Yes, she. That's why I say you are special.
Chair and members, I would like to take you through our expenditure. As the Chair has indicated in terms of the time limit, I will try and stick with that. So I won't go slide by slide. But in terms of the second quarter expenditure report, I would like to take the committee to slide 5, which showed where we were at the end of September, at the end of the second quarter. In terms of our total expenditure at the time of the 2.1 billion, we had that spent 45.39%, with administration at 44.42%, public works as our main program, 45.37%, and EPWP 49.08%. So at that point, that was our expenditure. Then I will take us directly to slide 25. Slide 23, my apologies, 23. Thank you. This indicate where we were in terms of our revenue collection at the end of September 2024. Based on the figures there, we had a budget of 77 million to collect. At that point in time, we had only collected 20.9 million, which amounted to 27.02%. Those are the two slides that I will be presenting for the second quarter. I will then move over to the third quarter and take the committee to slide 29. Slide 29 indicates in terms of our programs, we're at the end of December, we were at 73.91%, with administration at 63.6%, public works and infrastructure 75.01%, and EPWP at 70.26%. I will then also just deal with the revenue for that quarter, which is on slide 46. At the end of December, our budget had adjusted downwards to 56 million to be collected. We at that stage had collected 31 million with 56%, my apologies, collected as at the end of December. Chairperson, that will be what I present in terms of the third quarter. I will then move over to the fourth quarter. With the fourth quarter, Chair, I would like to go to slide 50 to indicate what our adjustments were in terms of the budget. Our original budget was 2.1 billion. We, with the first adjustment budget, had an additional allocation of 40.8 million, of which 50 million was specifically for municipal services, 4 million was for rollovers, and then we also had a reduction of 13 million to actually allocate to municipalities as the Department of Public Works. During the second adjustment budget process, we were allocated an additional 21.2 million, which was also a reduction in our earmarked funding, and then 46.6 that we then received in terms of municipal services. It then brought our final budget to 2.169 billion for the year. On slide 52, it indicates our expenditure per program. At the end of the financial year, we managed to spend 99.1% of our budget, with administration 97.76%, public works 99.34%, and EPWP 94.62%. In terms of slide 53, it just indicates what our expenditure was in terms of our funding, with our voted funds being spent at 99%. The EPWP grant managed to spend 97.93%. There was an 87,000 rand that could not be spent. That was actually due to a training that was still outstanding, but then commenced to commence in the new year. In terms of our infrastructure enhancement allocation, which is funding our project, we managed to spend 84%. And then for our property rates and taxes allocation, which is specifically for municipal property rates, it was 100% spent there. If we then look in terms of our spending per economic classification, I think in terms of our COE, we managed to keep it within the budget, and we spent 99.58% there. I will then go to program 1 on slide 55. It just shows the classification as well for program 1. Chairperson, in slide 56, it shows the same information for program 2. And then I would like to just highlight slide 57 again in terms of our landlords and our municipalities. Chair and members, in terms of what we have for leases, our operating leases, where we pay leases for buildings, at the end of the financial year, we had 342 million budget, and we spent all of that money. I've already indicated in terms of rates and taxes what we've spent. And then for our property payments to municipalities, as well as our private service providers, but for municipal services, the final budget that we had was 537.7 million. We managed to spend 99.99% thereof. The amounts that were outstanding there is just due to rounding, but that is what we then paid to for municipal service at the end of the financial year. On slide 58, it is just the same economic classification information for our EPWP. Chairperson, in terms then of our infrastructure and our non-infrastructure projects, here we're looking on slide 60. We are looking at the categories of maintenance, our refurbishments and rehab projects, and our upgrades and additions, and then as well as our non-infrastructure projects. In terms of the budget for those specific categories was 153 million at the original budget. It reduced to 98 million, and at the end of the year, we actually managed to spend 84.4 million. Chairperson, then in terms of the details of the slides, the maintenance is indicated on slide 61, the maintenance specific projects. Then from slide 62 and 63, it indicates what projects we had for refurbishments and rehabilitation. Slide 64 and 65 indicates the upgrades and additions. And then on slide 66, it indicated what we had for our TRPs. On slide 67, that is where we indicate our non-infrastructure projects. These projects relates mainly to EPWP, and in terms of the different categories that we had spent there, you will also note that we had as a final budget where we started off with the artisan development program, and our budget was then 2.5 finally, and then we managed to spend the funds there, 72%, and in total EPWP we managed to spend 94.2. Chair, if we go over to slide 69, it indicates our revenue that we had for the financial year to collect. The 56 is the adjusted budget, and we managed to only collect 76% thereof. The biggest contributor that we did not collect was the item of sales, non-residential buildings. That was the last installment that was still due from CUT related to the land exchange agreement. I can indicate at this time that in after year end, CUT did then pay that money over to the department. It is just in terms of the timing thereof, so it was then paid afterwards. Chairperson, with that, I have then come to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, that's the presentation. Over to you. Deputy Speaker.
Thanks, Chair. Good morning, MEC, and good morning to the officials from Public Works. Mine is on quarter 4. Quarter 4, Chair, that is on the adjustments. There's adjusted allocation of 40.8 million. Or rather, should I say, especially the 50 million that was towards municipal services. That indeed is commendable, showing responsiveness to municipal financial distress. But however, this is then my concern. It is the 30 million downward revision of that. So I just would like to know, Chair, from the department, what prompted the downward adjustment of that 30 million? Thank you.
Director Pretorius.
And perhaps maybe to go further to say, being the second question, and what impact then did it have on planned infrastructure projects? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for the presentation by the department. Yes, Chair, I think I would like to join the Honourable Deputy Speaker in terms of, I can see there is a political movement, political will to start paying off the massive amounts that are due to municipalities. I do note with the adjustment budget, it's about close to 100 million that has been moved to settle that. But unfortunately, we do then note that there is some other repercussions in terms of maintenance to our buildings. I just have an issue again with the layout of the presentation. If in future, could we also have it with all the programs indicating Q1, 2, 3, and 4, so that we can have a look at the benchmarking throughout the year? So just to have an indication if there's slow spending in the first quarters, perhaps physical dumping at the end of the quarters, etc. But in terms of the slow spending on the infrastructure enhancement allocation, I do note Q1 it was Q2 it was quite slow, and all the way up to Q4, it's one of the programs, the infrastructure enhancement allocation, that hasn't been spent in full. I think it ended at about 74, if I'm not mistaken. But can we just get an indication about what's the reason for the slow spending from the onset on that infrastructure enhancement allocation, and then the underspending by Q4? Then I do note, and I think we have raised it before as a committee, is that the operating leases on buildings in the province is quite high. It amounts to about 28.5 million per month. So that's quite a substantial amount that we're paying per month for leasing of buildings in the province. So at some stage, I think the committee would have to ask for a report to see, what buildings are available in the province for DPWI to then rather utilize those than paying that huge amount per month for leases. And that could also be a large portion to offset against that municipal and rates and taxes. And then, Chair, the CFO did mention the amount paid by CUT for the land exchange. Can we just get an indication what is the total amount that has been paid for the land exchange? And then in terms of the process of obtaining a new land for the Free State Sports Science Institute and the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, I know they are housed on that land that has now been exchanged or is in the process. What is the department's status in terms of finding a new premises for them? And then just on the specific expenditures, I do note there was an amount of 738,000 spent on the 4th Raadsaal under the rehab capital. If you can just get an indication, what was that spent on? It just says 4th Raadsaal, BLD, R&R. Apologies, I don't know that lingo. And then in terms of another specific project, there's mention made, page 65, Tromsburg, I'm not sure if it's hospital or hostel, sewer upgrade, because I know there's a lot of sewage challenges in Tromsburg currently. If the department could just give us an indication about that 3 million that was spent there, Tromsburg, either hostel or hospital sewage upgrade, it's required all over in Tromsburg. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to perhaps get an understanding from the department. Are there any litigations that they are involved in, and what are those litigations? Because we remember that when we're sitting, Chair, in the petitions committee, there was some other issue that the advocate was dealing with but it was on the pro bono basis. But however, he said there's a fee that they are paying on that particular case whereby they've contracted the Morocco attorneys. So I just want to understand that does the department have any litigation cases, and what are those, and what is the value of them? Thank you.
Chair of Chairs.
Chair, I'm partly covered, but I just want to understand the approach of the department, MEC, as you make these payments to municipalities. What is your approach? I suppose that municipalities are characterized or categorized differently in terms of their, financial distress. Do you pay, what do they say in English, equally or proportionally? Or you make that under assessment, perhaps assisted by Cooperative to say which ones must be prioritized, which ones must we, that arrangement. What is the approach?
Over to you, HOD. No, before you, HOD, Dr. Foko.
Thank you, Chair, and MEC Litimia. Chair, I'm partially covered by the Chair of Chairs, but additional to that, Chair, the first adjustment of the allocation for municipal services was around 50 million. So I just want to have a picture. How much did you owe for the services? Thank you, Chair.
Perhaps maybe a last one. Can the department also elaborate on the performance management shortfalls, particularly in program 2, how they intend to address that? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and we really welcome the appreciation of the department to really deal with the legacy bill in as far as rates and taxes and utilities are concerned, and also appreciate the questions that are coming from members of the legislature. Chair, currently, I would not respond to questions but others together. Firstly, the department has a debt of about 1.3 billion. It's not a debt on one financial year, but is a debt that have culminated over the years. We made a commitment during the budget vote that we intend to make efforts to ensure that we pay off the municipality, because these are services that we use. It's not like we're getting these services for free. These are, or it's something that is been donated or anything of that sort. Therefore, we have made that particular commitment. We must also indicate to this House that in 2023-2024, we made a commitment to the Portfolio Committee that in the MTF period, we would have dealt with the legacy bill when it comes to rates and taxes. And as things stands, we are only owing, I think, if 1 or 2 municipalities, one is Mangaung, we are only owing Mangaung on rates and taxes. Therefore, we have been able to deal with legacy bill in as far as rates and taxes is concerned. And we are hoping by the end of 2026, 2027, we would have closed that particular account. We will be paying off only the current account. Where there is a challenge is on water and electricity, where we are still having a challenge. And we are using our in-house enhancement strategies to ensure that we do find a way of paying off this particular legacy bill. One of the key issues that honorable members are indicating, even in this House, is issues relating to set-offs. We are in the process of negotiating. Other municipalities are not buying into the set-offs, but we are still engaging further to see where possible. For instance, in Mangaung, to be specific, there's a land parcel in phase 6 where residents of Mangaung are residing on that particular land, and that land belongs to Public Works. However, we are handing over that particular land to the people who are residing there, who will then be able to pay off services to the municipality itself. But we are in the process of that particular program, as indicated by, is one of the litigation issues that are coming and are dealt with by Moroka officers, but we are hoping that we will be able to deal with that. The downward adjustment, Chair, when provincial government make provisions for adjustment budgets, all departments contribute towards that particular adjustment. Therefore, even ourselves as the Department of Public Works, we get to make savings, look scrabble for money internally in the department to see to it that we add into the kitty that's supposed to pay the department rates and taxes and services. Therefore, it adjusts, it causes our budget to go downwards. That's why there is that particular downwards impact. However, we must indicate when we do that particular process, it impacts negatively on the planned programs of the department, because we ought to take from other planned programs that were supposed to be implemented in that particular financial year so that we are able to pay off this legacy bill. We must also indicate that, like we have done it previously, Chair, that we have raised the matter at EXCO, we have raised the issue at different forums of government, and government, provincial government, because we take holistic responsibility of payments. We are not only paying for public works, we are paying for the entire provincial government. There were other mechanisms that were introduced to EXCO to say, can we look at other mechanisms on how best can we deal with legacy bill? But the latest arrangement was that Department of Public Works and Infrastructure continue to pay on behalf of the entire government up until we find another way to ensure that we deal with this particular. But for now, this is how we are approaching issues relating to legacy bill. The municipal services and approach, like I've indicated, in most cases, we would always want, it would be fair to pay off everybody equally, equitably. But the reality is that municipalities that are going through the most, I will make an example, your Mafube, your Kopanong, your Litsimeng, and others. However, from time to time, looking at the proportionality and the distressed municipality, we would always want to assist those particular municipalities. But equally, there are major municipalities like Mangaung that also need your Centlec account, which we try by all means to prioritize. But it will be unfair for us to say we are prioritizing this one and not this one. And what will be mechanism or what will be an approach in terms of paying off a debt. But in most cases, we try to prioritize the most distressed municipality for the obvious reasons. On issues relating to leases, Chair, the high amounts on leases. For the past 5 years, the department has been able to reduce leasing, moving from leased or privately owned buildings to state-owned buildings. We have done so, and we have done so with about 17 to 19 buildings. And we are hoping, as we finalize Tusanong building, we will have reduced the current account that we are paying, where Tracking Cocta is now residing. We would now be using our own building. Therefore, in this financial year, that will be one of the buildings that we are reducing. But equally, Chair, we have had engagements with National Department. And this has been dealt with at level of MINMAC, where Minister McPherson has agreed with provinces and municipalities to hand over certain buildings to provinces. And we are in the process. It's unfortunate that the man is not with us, where we are going to sign MOUs. They have already given us a proposal for MOU, memorandum of understanding of our agreement with Mangaung. But we said National Department does not have many buildings in Mangaung, but we would rather want to look at Machabeng and Malutea Phofu, because that's where we've got a number of buildings, so that we can actually use those particular buildings either as offices to reduce, to get out of leases, or rather some of these particular buildings can be utilized for economic development of our province. We must indicate in this house that in July, in the beginning of July, we have received a building called Naledi Sun Hotel from National Department of Rural Development, which will assist us to enhance economic development in that particular area. Yes, of course, someone will say you are now inheriting another building which is going to create problems for rates and taxes, but we are saying it will be utilized for economic development in that particular space. Issues of Transberg, I think HOD will speak to that, the sewer issue in Transberg, litigations. Chair, with us, we don't have the Director for Legal Services. However, we are willing to provide such information because we must be factual when we come to the legislature. We will provide that particular information. But over and above, we must indicate our budget is still not enough, even in the new financial year, to pay off our legacy bill, but we are doing our best in relation to that. As well as, I think the HOD will also speak to matters relating to the exchange of CUT and ourselves, and the question that was raised in relation to that, as well as the expenditure on infrastructure enhancement. But like I've indicated, we had to let go of certain projects that we wanted to implement in 2024-2025 financial year because we needed to add to the kitty in as far as the rates and taxes are concerned. We can't expect all other government departments to do that, to assist us, while we ourselves as the department are not adding particular amount into that particular kitty. But we must indicate that the process, it was led by ourselves together with Provincial Treasury to indicate how much each department must contribute. So it was quite specific in terms of who pays how much, who contributes how much, and also other departments were given an opportunity to say, what is it that we are going to contribute? But at the end of the day, all government departments, including Office of the Premier, contributed towards the kit. Thank you very much, Chair.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members of the legislature, MEC colleagues. First, we would like to note the question that has been raised, or the request, in fact, on the layout of our presentation. We'll try to improve as we come back for when we come and present for the first quarter. Then the presentation will be clearer in terms of that. And then when we move to the other questions, MEC has responded. When we move to the issue of performance management shortfalls, we're noting the question, and as a department, we're doing our best to improve our performance. Understanding, of course, that for this financial year, we've not performed to our abilities as a department. We are putting processes in place in order for us to improve. We have identified the areas where we did not move in terms of our performance, more especially in Program 2, in particular works. We have made changes in terms of personnel there, so that we can improve, but also to synchronize our planning with supply chain, because we tend to, as programs, Program 2 and 3, not take on board Program 1, more in particular here, supply chain. We tend to plan outside them, not understanding also that they've got also other responsibilities to take care of. But now we're starting the process of working together. It's an issue that the MEC has raised quite frankly with us, that we need to move away from planning as silos as a department, because it affects the progress of us reaching our planned targets. Already we have started to put processes in place by starting with changing the personnel in our department. to address that. Then when you come to the issue of the sewer network at Tromsberg, it's true that Tromsberg is faced with the challenge of sewer network. Our focus there was the retention. The 3 million was a retention that was to be paid to the contractor that was working at Tromsberg Hospital. It's about the Tromsberg Hospital. And then when we come to the issue of the CUT and the land exchange, to date, officials, it was a final amount, 104.8 million. That has already paid to the department by CUT in terms of the exchange of land. So, and then also there was an issue at MEC also that was raised of the land exchange, of the land for the Department of Sports. There's a process there that we are engaged on as a department together with the Department of Sports. There's a land that, as this exchange was happening, initially there was going to be a high performance at the psychiatric complex. But there were decisions that were taken to say, as we exchange this land, then CUT gave us another land at the outskirts of the center of Bloemfontein, where we were to build the complex or for the Department of Sports. But when we went there doing our work to this year with the MEC, we found that there are challenges in terms of that land. There are areas that are wetlands in that land. Then we felt that may not be suitable for that purpose. So, and it's where the offices of the Department of Sports were going to be built. As we're talking now, we're looking for suitable buildings that are our own, where we can accommodate the Department of Sports. One of the buildings that we're looking at as we're engaging with the MEC is the PECOPS. That may be PECOPS, we can accommodate a certain portion of the Department of Sports there at PECOPS. And then as we're looking for another buildings to accommodate the Department of Sport. But of course, there are discussions around in fact, also around the psychiatric complex itself, as to how do we move forward, were the decisions taken correct decisions, and then if we arrive into a position that maybe we need to review, then we will do that, as also informed and directed by the MEC or the Executive Council. Yeah, thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson and members. There was one question regarding the fourth Raadsaal of the 738,000 that was spent there. In terms of the plans that the department has to actually look at the building for its full refurbishment, that fees were actually paid to the architectural services so that they can start with the planning process for the building. Thank you.
Chair, just to add on what HOD has indicated, part of our challenges in terms of performance of the department has always been our inability to fill certain critical posts. Remember, in 2023, 24, 24, 25, we have always had that particular issue with DPSA where we could not fill certain positions. But luckily, when the new financial year started, we were given a go-ahead to start with the adverts to ensure that we do so, we fill in these particular positions. We are also, I'm sure colleagues and members of the legislature are aware that to date, since last year, September, October, this is the fourth HOD who's coming to this portfolio committee as acting. The past 6 months, we had 4 acting HODs, and that also has an impact in terms of performance of the department, because whenever a new HOD comes in, there's a new directives, new way of doing things, and so forth and so on. Hopefully, luckily this time around, we've got Ndatem Tolo, who was the DDG in the department, who has always been with us. So he understands the culture and the tradition of this particular department and will be able to take us forward whilst we are in these particular processes that all members are aware of. We also, like Ndatem Tolo has indicated, we observed in Q2, Q3, that our performance in terms of Program 2 was not moving at a pace that we wanted. That's why we shifted. We put Ndate Dion as an acting chief director in works, given his experience as an engineer himself, so that we are able to navigate the journey in that particular space. And we are, Chair, indicating to you that as the department, we have taken oversight over, I personally have taken oversight as an executive authority of the institution, much more serious than I might have done in the previous year, precisely because of the performance of the department in the last quarter. We are not only sitting with them at the end of the quarter, where we now get a report at the end of the quarter. We are sitting on monthly basis to check and assess performance on the department, where there are gaps, we are able to close those particular gaps. We are preparing for, now that we're in the second quarter of the new financial year, we're also looking at what are the things, specific and action plans that are going to take place, so that at the end of the quarter, we're able to perform better. We've got men and women who are capable in the department. It's just that we were not coordinated in a manner in which we would have wanted. But I'm happy that the department is now moving towards a particular direction where they are appreciating of the same weaknesses that are there in terms of silo arrangements in the department, and we're bringing everybody on board on fortnight basis to look at issues that needs priority. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, MEC. I'm sure those remarks were the closing remarks. Thank you, MEC. Thank you, the team from Public Works. We hope that even in future, when we request you to come immediately, you come running. I want to see the HOD running. No, let the department leave us in peace. Or you want a favor from them? To who specifically?
Can they give the committee a report on these issues of EPWPs? If they can, go straight to that municipality with a problem, and next time they come and brief us, particularly as it relates to value for money.
Not now.
Yes, not now,
Report
of course.
On the EPWPs in municipalities, especially where there are problems. No, I don't want to give you. You'll open up for. Are you giving them a takeaway, not something? Because I want them to leave. Takeaway, okay.
Thank you very much, Chair. No, I think last week we as a committee canvassed a lot the issue about Department of Labour and Employment closing down buildings of the government in the Free State. So perhaps it's just something that we also have to canvass here to DPWI, is to act proactively in terms of doing audits and checks and so forth, that we don't have these critical institutions being closed down by Department of Labour. Yes, I think it's causing a lot of strain on our health services, etc. Thank you, Chair.
You remember we even said we want Department of Labour, if possible, to come here and tell us what are those issues that makes them to close those buildings. So that's one of the takeaways, MEC and HOD. Please leave us in peace, not in pieces. weekend. Ah, yeah, why? Honorable members, I think we can just summarize for the two departments. As part of the recommendations that must be included in our report. For arts and culture, I would suggest that arts and culture should elevate the issues of museums with government and ensure that government develops a better plan to ensure that those museums are part of tourism attraction sites. More especially those heritage sites that we have in the province, not only in Bloemfontein. I think what you see here indicates that wherever we have such institutions, you find the same problem. And yes. Now, in relation to public works, or I don't know what to say. Chair of Chairs, there's something you wanted to say. Over to you.
Chair, I apologize. There's something I want to say.
I thought you were suggesting what do you say about arts and culture?
No, Chair, in fact, I was very excited to hear the experiences that colleagues had during that visit, and I become jealous. Remember, I had to leave for the doctor's appointment. So I have learned one or two things, but I don't have any recommendations.
No.
Thanks.
I think it was even the people that were taking us on in that museum. What is it, a war museum?
Yeah.
When I asked them, do they know Hans Janse van Rensburg? They don't know him. I don't know whether Medulandi knows about him. People say Verwoerd apartheid. They don't know. He just took a flag.
No,
Janse van Rensburg was the architect, the key person in that period. So there's a suit of Hans Janse van Rensburg there. There's also the cell where offenders was interred after killing Verwoerd is there.
So it's true that Verwoerd was killed where you are sitting by offenders?
So
I need to verify that history.
Now we have these important things, but we have not developed, even in terms of pamphlets, of tourism. Because remember that every country, China, most of its tourism revenue comes from domestic tourism. And with us, we don't encourage that, or we don't promote.
When you visit them, they insist that you can't go to any other place without going to their museums.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying that I think arts and culture must elevate the matter, work with tourism. We once had an experience where we were invited to tourism, tourism authority some years ago. I was with somebody who's working at the Department of Arts and Culture. And the tourism authority were requesting us to develop a document for the history of politics in the province, but they don't have money, they can't pay us. And that person said, but the one that you are using was produced by me, and a company came to present it to you, and you paid that company, unaware that that thing was produced by me. So you have such problems. I want to say government has to take these things very seriously in the province. Just to understand and say that Free State played a central role in determining how the history of politics of South Africa developed. And you take those artifacts into consideration, develop them into important tourism products. You know that people who went to lead the government of South Africa after 1948, when Nationalist Party took over, during World War II, they were interred in Koffiefontein. Those people who were leading Oseva Brandwag were interred in Koffiefontein. And you'll never hear of a situation where we talk about that and get to that building or whatever is prison or whatever. You turn that into a tourism attraction site for domestic tourism, because those are the things that should be coming out of the curriculum of kids at a basic education. Because this is how, if you don't know where you come from, forget about developing plans of moving forward, because you don't know why you are where you are now. So how would you know where you are going to if you don't know where you come from? And so government must really take this matter seriously. This Department of Arts and Culture should not just be a department by the way. It's a department whose importance is archiving of where we come from, and for us to understand why we are where we are today. And I'm sure that's why when people talk about this building and say, hey, this building must be taken care of, and people think that, no, this is just a building. This is not just a building. This is where the last decision of the Constitution that made the Union of South Africa in 1909 was decided. So our departments of arts and culture must really either be helped, especially decisions at government level, not just at the departmental level, so that the department does not only focus on festivals, but on how do we protect our own history, take care of our own history to moving forward. And they cannot do that without working. I don't understand. You remember when we were at the presidency, at the Africans library, the person responsible for infrastructure at the department was saying they have put aside 3 million for that build for the repairs there. But here in this building, it comes from Public Works. I don't know what becomes the difference. Why on that department is the department, here is Public Works? I don't know. Honorable members, I don't want to trouble too much, trouble and trouble and trouble. If you don't have anything to say, I close the discussions and adjourn the meeting. Or the day, Pretorius.
Apologies, Chair, just perhaps I missed it, but I see Kochta is not presenting yesterday or today. Did I miss?
Not a human settlement.
But Kochta as well, yeah.
Kochta.
They were with human settlements. Okay.
Can you repeat that, Pretorius?
I know we did note human settlements had presented previously the fourth quarter, if I recall correctly. But Kochta.
Deputy Speaker wanted to hear the reply.
Oh, apologies. And then community safety, roads and transport, have they also?
You are not on the mic.
My apologies, Chair and honorable members. CSRT, Community Safety and COGTA, they've already presented 2nd, 3rd and 4th on the 3rd of June. Thank you.
So, honorable members, I adjourn this meeting. Thank you for being here. And thanks for Ndate Mukwena for arriving that time. Even though he reported that he didn't want to go to Forisberg until he's waiting for Friday. But Friday, and I told him not to take time off with Ndate Foko.
Chair, I have a question, Chair.
The meeting has been closed. Oh, it's after the meeting, yes.
Negeri wa kgonahala hore o ajene meeting o sna punch before we leave. Ya kgonahala na?
Ne a o loka foko. Deputy